Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Hi, hello, my name is Loey. I am coming to you guys with a 2 in the morning Red Bull filled video because I am currently actually packing up to go to New York Fashion Week, but I was scrolling through Twitter doing what I do. I am very fortunate to be in a few group chats with some other horror creators here on YouTube, and in one of them in particular, my friend Aiden Elliott, who is the creator of The Sun Vanished, and also just a filmmaker and a creator of all things spooky here on the internet. You've probably seen some of his other stuff and not even known he was behind it. I will have him linked down below, but he was talking about some kind of unexpectedly bizarre experiences he had been having with the Talk to Transformer AI bot. And I had no idea what that was. So I went to the website for this AI bot and I started playing with it and really quickly decided I wanted to give it some prompts for scary stories. So the way that I would write a scary story, or the way that I would see other people write a scary story, and it got weird really quickly. So before I get into sharing that with you guys, I want to quickly thank the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Thank you so much for making this video a possibility, and I'm really excited to tell you guys all about it. So Skillshare is an online learning community for creators with more than 30,000 different courses that you can take. These courses cover subjects such as design, business, and so much more. It's really a phenomenal hub of everything you'd ever need to know in the creative world. While browsing the Skillshare catalog, I saw so many things I was so interested in learning, but here are a few of my favorites. The courses that I found the most intriguing for me, and that I also think you guys would really be interested in if you are also trying to build a social media following, is this Real Productivity class, which is actually taught by the CEO and founder of Skillshare, as well as this Instagram influencer course all about creating more authentic content and monetizing your following, both of which I think are amazing recommendations. No matter what it is that you want to learn more about, Skillshare is an amazing hub full of incredible topics that can help to further your career or fuel your curiosity or just satisfying your boredom. Skillshare is an amazing way to keep learning and thriving in life. Skillshare is also the homie, so they decided to give you guys a 2-month free unlimited access trial when you click the link in my description box, and then after those 2 months, it's about $10 a month. And I think that is a phenomenal deal. If you guys want to get your learning on and discover any of the amazing courses that Skillshare has to offer, link, as I said, will be in my description box. Thank you to Skillshare for making this video possible, and let's get right into these AI written horror stories. Okay, so I started this off kind of uncertain of what I was getting into. Previously, my only real interactions with an AI bot was through the works of like AI-fueled chat robots. Like, you would say something to them, they would say something back, but it wasn't a person sitting there, it was the AI robot, and it was learning more and more how to communicate with people the more that people would talk to it. And so they would get really weird and really funny, but Talk to Transformer allows you to give it a prompt, no matter if it is a word, a sentence, a paragraph, and it finishes what it thinks you're going to say, which is bizarre. Throughout my experience on this, I kept literally copying and pasting what the robot was telling me because I was convinced that I was going to find it already like written somewhere, that it had just scoured the internet and like stolen this from someone else. But every single time I was shook. What is this piece of hair doing to me? It's also shook. That this was all like original stuff written by this bot. So I was playing with different words and phrases and stuff, and when I decided I wanted to just see what it would do with a scary prompt, I just simply said, "What is hiding in my closet?" And this is what I was given back from Talk to Transformer. "Is there a little boy in there that could use my help? That's so nice. I'm so glad you told me." The girl turned around and started to walk away again, her head dropping to her own thoughts. Her father had already turned back, and the man gave a little sigh. After several more minutes, the boy turned his head, and he suddenly saw the man in the closet. It was the one that had been keeping the door unlocked, to have had hidden there from both the rest of the family and to keep out unwanted guests. "You know what time it is? Here's the key. You know where to find the door." The boy quickly gave him a key, and the man went back inside. He saw the boy and his mother and his father walking toward him, giving him a smile and a little pat on their shoulders, and thanked him as the boy started to move away again. So there's this little thing down here that ruined my screenshot. I didn't even realize when I was doing this. So that was what piqued my interest. So the next prompt that I gave the robot was the monster under my bed, and it completed. The monster under my bed is starting to stir. It's getting louder. I turn to look. It's growing. What a cute way to begin. I'll let my imagination do the rest. I was like violently creeped out at this point. And then this was a very strange part, and this is where I started like copying and pasting things to see, was this written out somewhere? Because randomly it says T/N. This is the new version of the chapter 2.0. It is currently untranslated, but I've had it translated so many times, it's been almost impossible to forget about it. So then it continues. Azrael was in his bed, facing the monster under his bed. It was growing bigger. It was becoming bigger every day. Soon it would engulf him completely. If he couldn't escape it, then he had no choice but to flee like an animal. That would be completely, can't say this word on YouTube, so we'll just say reckless. So that's why I have to make this monster grow faster than an adult. He was afraid of this thing, just like every child should be. This monster was his home. He was afraid of this thing that was slowly, and then it cuts off here because it has a limit. But that creeped me out so much that then I asked for another one on this. And this time, for some reason, the Talk to Transformer gave me a poem. The monster under my bed has been in my bed at all times, and I can't sleep. So I lie here awake, thinking of monsters and their ways. I can't sleep. I can't get used to the monsters that sleep in my bed of dreams. The monster underneath my bed has been in my bed at all times, and I can't sleep. So I lie here, awake, thinking. Is this bot a poet? Like, how bizarre. And so again, I asked for another prompt on this. The monster under my bed is really dangerous. Do you want me to kill it before it goes in? I said, and pulled out my wand. There you go, Voldemort said, as he lifted the trapdoor and let it close. The trapdoor locked and he vanished, but the beast had moved to another one of the traps and had grabbed the other trapdoor, not letting go. So I was trapped again. The trapdoor that he had been standing by was opening up, and now the trapdoor that I had just been standing by was closing. This time the trapdoor closed, but there was one more trap waiting there. I had just left him, and Harry stood by his side. "Who are you, Harry?" I wanted to tell him, but the words were stuck in my throat as well. "Where do you come into my head anyway? I'm not you. The only people I think you are me and Voldemort," said Harry. "But that was a very special moment," I cried. "You did this." I was just tickled by this. This bot understands how to complete, or it has an idea of how you are going to complete things based on the prompt that you give it. And so I was really interested to see that with the same prompt 3 different times, it gave me both a bizarre story, then a poem, and then this weird Harry Potter fan fiction. The next prompt that I gave it was simply, "I think my house is haunted." And this one gave me a few interesting responses, but my favorite one was this. "I think my house is haunted. I have no idea how the house is haunted. I will not spend another day in the house with my family and friends. They are scared that I have a demon inside my house." That's not what I said on the video. And at this point, I was like looking around the room like, is somebody watching me? Am I being pranked? Like, how weird that it goes into like, that's not what I said on the video when I make videos about this kind of thing, you feel? I would like to say that I believe in the truth, but that would mean that we believe in what the Bible teaches. So when I said I felt fear, I mean it is true. No one will believe me but myself. And what do I mean by that? I mean, how does the Bible teach the devil will come out and do evil? In another post, a YouTube user is quoted saying, "I know that God is there. I just don't know what he wants. He hasn't said this out loud to me. It will be the first thing I read when I get home. I can sense it. I can feel it. I will say that I pray that God will let me know what it is. Let's pray together to please let me in." This one was really strange as well. I simply said the ghost in my house, and for some reason in this prompt, it said the same thing over and over and over again. Whereas in other ones, it was like, you know, telling a whole story. For some reason, this one repeated itself just over and over. And it goes like this. The ghost in my house, who knows if it is real or is a hallucination, but my heart is heavy and sad. Can you be my friend so the world would not be as it is? And then it continues, the spirit of the old man in my house, who knows if it is real or is a hallucination, but my heart is heavy and sad. Can you be my friend so the world would not be as it is? And then it does it again and again with the spirit of the old man. So I thought that was really interesting. I tried it again and this prompt was even more bizarre. The ghost in my house is not there. My husband left me for another woman. I know he's still with her. She made some strange promises to herself, she said. You know what time it is. I'm getting off to work right now. The state's attorney said she has no doubt that there are dead bodies inside this house. Investigators are looking through boxes and other items from the house, which is a converted storage unit. A neighbor told News 4 that the man was very, very kind-hearted. This house was purchased in 1998 by a woman named Linda Smith. A neighbor told News 4 that she saw people come and go during her time living there, and that Smith sometimes went to the apartment she rented out in the basement. Smith told News 4 that her husband moved out years ago and said she knew nothing about the dead bodies. They never even told me that someone died, she said. In a previous interview, Smith said she didn't know anything about the woman with the black hair. I desperately wish in a lot of these that they didn't cut off, because they'll cut off like mid-sentence because it reaches its like character limit or whatever. And I'll try to like copy and paste like the end of the story to see if it'll continue, but it just kind of goes off in weird tangents. So fascinated, right? At this point, really weirded out, like laying in my bed, thinking about maybe I will make this into a video and like share this with you guys, because it was just fascinating to see the way that this AI robot, or you know, this bot, was writing viral scary stories or creepypastas, or however you want to define them. Then I had an idea. I know that the character limit is pretty short, but I decided to try something kind of ambitious out, but it sort of worked. You know, all of those 2-sentence horror stories that float all over the internet? For some reason, they've been on my mind lately, and I think it's because I started doing TikTok. You can follow me at LoeyBugXO, and I've been debating doing some sort of scary content on there, and they seem like these quick little, you know, bites of a story, right? I decided to give the Talk to Transformer bot these 2-sentence horror stories and see what it did with them. So the first one was this. Don't be scared of the monsters. Just look for them. Look to your left, to your right, under your bed, behind your dresser, in your closet, but never look up. She hates being seen. And then it continues. When you get to this part, if you've reached it, you're ready to take on the monsters. Look for the monster, be it man or animal, with his or her head down and his or her hands on the ground. If you see the monster on the ground, you have lost. If the monster on the ground has your hand on his or her neck, you have won. If you have a flashlight, use it. If you have a cell phone, check his or her pockets. If you see your friend's ID in his or her pockets, then you have won. If your friend's ID is in his or her pocket while he is holding your hand, then your friend has lost. If it's the person you're looking for, be like, hey buddy, your hand is stuck on my neck. Can I turn your hand over? If you have any questions, stop. Now, I thought that one was really interesting because it almost turned that prompt into a sort of like paranormal, not a game, because it's not a game you can play, but it kind of seemed like it, right? Like some sort of like guidelines on how to play with this monster. The next 2-sentence horror story that I gave the bot was, she wondered why she was casting 2 shadows. After all, there was only a single light bulb. And then it continued from there. Then something happened that changed everything. That's right. How about this? What is it? She was about to ask a question when she noticed that the light bulb had gone on. A huge light bulb went off and began to illuminate the hallway as it did so. The shadow of a man suddenly appeared with a familiar expression. He was now standing next to the doorway to the bathroom. Ah, what's this? It's a mirror. Wait a second. So this must be the door to the bathroom. No, I made it out of a broken door. The man, with eyes the color of a sapphire, stared at her. His arms were twisted up to his chest and he was looking at her. His lips were twisted into a smile. It's a mirror. It's not something you should touch as it changes the image. But hey, I suppose it's fun to stare into sometimes. Like, tell me that's not a Reddit, like, no sleep story or something. That was so creepy. And again, I was copy and pasting different parts of the story, convinced it was already written, but no, this bot, like, wrote up all of that. That one kind of floored me so much, I asked the bot the same prompt. And this was the second story it gave me. She wondered why she was casting two shadows. After all, there was only a single light bulb. How did the light go out? When he heard the sound of the alarm, he grabbed the blanket and started looking for the light bulb. He tried to grab the lamp when his hand got caught in the blanket. He tried to pull it off the other hand, but didn't stop his hand from being entangled in the blanket. He finally pulled it free and looked around for help. Then he knew why the light went out. His shadow, having heard him grab the lamp, went out of sight in the darkness. This shadow looked so strange. It had a face, a black body, and a large black nose-to-tail-like design on its body. The shadow was so much taller than the first shadow he saw, but like a big black pig, it stood taller than one of the two normal human-like shadows. The black pig looked so different from the two other shadows that it caused people to panic. No one knows whether an animal or a monster was behind this shadow. In any case, the black pig is not a real shadow. The grinning face stared at me from the darkness beyond my bedroom window. I live on the 14th floor. This was another 2-sentence story that I had found, and this is the continuation of it from the bot. Ew, my apartment is haunted. I opened my door, and with the sound of my heart hammering in my ears, the room seemed to become illuminated by a massive moonlit sea. The man in the room was looking at my face in silence for a moment. Then he turned towards me again, with his hands clenched in front of him. He appeared to be looking at me with pure evil in his eyes. His face was like a cross between that of a monster and a devil. I had never been the type of person who felt much fear in my chest. Usually I got a good feeling in my chest during the process of seeing a monster or when walking through my basement with an old man who had been bitten by a giant snake a few years before. I always felt calm, and there were plenty of things to do in my house. However, this creature was an entirely different beast. The thing seemed to be looking at me with a kind of desire in its eyes. However, I was still able to control myself, and I just sat there quietly, looking. Some of them were clearly better than others, but overall, I thought it was fascinating the routes that these stories would take. Granted, a few of them were with a few trials and error of, letting it regenerate and regenerate, but honestly, for the most part, with what I got, I was thoroughly creeped out. However, this is my favorite one that it wrote. And it was just a random thing. I was just sitting there like plugging various stuff into this bot. And I simply wrote, I wish I had never played with the Ouija board. I have been toying around with the idea of a story about a group of friends who breaks a Ouija board and kind of the chaos that ensues. And so I was just playing around with that idea. So I wish I had never played with the Ouija board. And then it continues. It's a horrible, horrible game with terrible rules, but there it is. How long did you play the game, if you can remember? I only played for a few minutes. I can't really remember a lot of the details, like the other players and locations, but all I can recall is the theme and the feeling of power. I didn't know how to play, so I made a lot of random guesses by trying different things for positions and moving, and all of it ended up being in my favor eventually. What was the game like when you started playing? Was there a certain moment where you just had this feeling of power, or did you keep playing it until you had to leave? I never really felt like I had to leave for the next round, although I would often get stuck in place in a very specific spot, and it didn't seem to be a very long game. It wasn't until around turn 40 that my phone would not respond. I tried calling all the numbers on it, and not sure what happened. I was then able to, and then it cuts off. One of my most popular videos on my channel was a creepypasta about a guy whose dead girlfriend keeps messaging him on Facebook. And so I decided to play with that, and then again, got a very interesting response. My dead girlfriend won't stop sending me messages on Facebook. If I get back to her, I'll take care of this. For some reason, there's this weird little symbol here, and then in parentheses it says, if your dead girlfriend doesn't stop sending you messages on Facebook, don't despair. I'll post the link of your dead girlfriend's memorial service in an attempt to help you with the grieving process. I won't post any links unless there are no pictures in the memorial service that you have posted. Like, this is not a post from the internet. For some reason, this bot just completed that sentence this way. There are some people who are sad or upset about this, and some people who aren't sad or upset about it. Please accept my condolences as well as my empathy. I promise to try to help you get through this. There are a few things I can share with you though. My dead boyfriend's Facebook photos. And then it says this: you are dead. There is no way to change that. You will have to wait for your eternal rest. That doesn't have to feel like a long time though. We all have days just like this. It's just a part of life, so bear it. My boyfriend and I shared one of the biggest moments in our relationship. We lost, and then it cuts off. I know that was a lot, but I didn't think I was gonna do this video more than once, and I probably won't. So I definitely wanted to ask as much as I could for this video. I am, again, just fascinated by the way that this bot answered everything and completed all of these stories. Didn't wake up today thinking that I was gonna let an AI robot write a creepypasta for my channel, but here we are, I guess. Ultimately, this was a really interesting experience, and I am in no way affiliated with Talk to Transformer, but highly recommend trying it out for yourself. If nothing else, it's a really interesting tool, I think especially for writers, to just play around with different prompts and kind of get some ideas and get your imagination rolling. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. And again, check out my friend Aiden Elliott in the links down below. I love you guys very much, and I will see you in my next video.